Hey everyone, it's Rob Ryder. Actually, Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Retluski, United States Army veteran and a soldier for life. You know, it actually says it on the Army's official website. It says right on there, soldier for life. So yeah, I'm not going to argue with it. And this video is about military pay in arrears and survivor annuities, which is really, for us veterans who are trying to get benefits and we're not getting them, it's because we're not getting what we should be getting from the DoD first that would allow you to get full benefits from the VA second. And so what I believe is they've never, I know for a fact they've never released me from the military. I'm still in the military under an enlistment agreement. And that agreement was an agreement. And so, the government has its duties to me. I have entitlements from the government. So we're going to talk about that. So what I found after some digging was that they actually have a form to fill out for pay in arrears. And look a little harder. Well, there's a form for asking for a survivor's annuity. And all a survivor's annuity is some veteran who never claimed his pay in arrears that now is going to go to the survivor. So I'm going to show you where the forms are and how I filled mine out and where all this came from. And it's going to be a very informative video, although it may jump around a lot. And it's just because it's a lot of information, right? These aren't 20-second soundbite answers. You have to go find the information and pay attention to the details. If you're not willing to do that, then it won't make any sense to you. But thank God for the military. God knows it'll make sense to you because we're talking about you. So here's just a few facts, right? A DD-214 evidences that you are released from active duty, not that you are released from the custody and control of the military. Right? It doesn't say on there anywhere that you've been kicked out of the military, so you're still in. An enlistment agreement, which is the DD Form 4, which you can find online, it's very easy to find, allows an enlistment to be extended indefinitely. And that's found in Title 10, United States Code 506. Right? So once you enlist, you're enlisted until they say you're not. And they've never said that. An enlistment agreement changes your status and states entitled to receive pay and allowances and other benefits as provided by law and regulation. So one of the things you're owed is you are owed a Geneva Convention Identification Card because you have this change in status. Right? You don't go back to being a civilian once you join the military. You're always subject to being a prisoner of war, and you need to have a Geneva Convention Identification Card. So above anything else, beyond the pay, everything else, what you really want first, or at the same time, is this Geneva Convention Identification Card, identifying you and your full legal name, first names, middle name, last name, no initials, no nicknames, Robert Allen Retluski, right? That's the card holder. Not Retluski, comma, Robert Allen, not Robert A., middle initial, Retluski. No. You only have one legal name, and that's what needs to be on this. And so your legal name is your legal name. Don't ever give it up. In fact, begin to believe you don't have a middle name. You just have a given name, right? So when they ask for a middle initial, you can't give them one because you don't have a middle name. You only have a first name. If you look at the way they do their forms, they make it, they'll have last name, comma, first name, comma, middle name. But when they put your name on the paper, they'll just have a last name, comma, and then a name without another comma. So they're saying that's your first name, even. It's a really schemy system that we live in. And, if you thought you were being screwed, well, you are. But you can be hopefully unscrewed because they had to leave you a remedy. That's my belief, right? That if there was no remedy, the world would already be destroyed and we wouldn't be here. But there must be because we're still here. So keep looking. And so there are many forms of pay because they specifically say pay. They don't say wages or something else, and they call it pay. They got you got basic pay, separation pay, you got retirement pay, disabled retirement pay or not disabled retirement pay, hazard duty pay, etc. These are all different forms of pay, which are a debt owed to you, right? So the government owes you a debt. by this contract. And if you're still in the military and you're not collecting these things, you can't get your Geneva Convention ID card and so forth, and you've never gotten an order that says you've been discharged from the military, which isn't your DD-214, right? There's a annotated discharge certificate, a discharge order, and a copy of a DD-214, right? Those are the things you need to have to prove you've been discharged. Okay, so the discharge certificate, now if you've been discharged, go look at it. I bet you they used your middle initial style name, right? They don't have your full legal name on there. So it's a counterfeit certificate because it isn't identifying you, right? It doesn't even match the name on your DD-214. Now, you'll have to tell me if it does because, I don't have a most recent one. I don't know. It's like, not even sure I got one after being an E6, but I must have. But I have one as an E5. And that one had my name backwards. And I actually filed paperwork to make them change it around the other way, right? And get the records changed. But, that one isn't in effect. My DD-214 is for a newer time. But the big thing is this discharge order. If you're going to be administratively separated from the custody and control of the military, you're going to have an order that says so. And if you don't have that order separating you from the custody and control of the military, well, then you're still in. Right? And so they're going to try to send this stuff. Now, this is an AR 635-200, which is about administrative separation. And so every branch is going to have their own book, but this is about administrative separations, and I'll show you better when we get into this, right? But let's say I got a lot of little pieces from all over I want to show, but what I'm going to get to real quick here is the forms, and then we'll go and look at where it all came from. But I'm just showing to you why I say that we're still in the military, because you don't have a discharge order. I don't have a discharge order. And so they're going to send this stuff, and if the documents mailed to the soldier are returned unclaimed or undeliverable, they will be destroyed. Okay, so I never got them. What happened to them? The annotated discharge order and copy of DD-214, further reflecting date of mailing to the soldier, will include in a personal file. So then, in your file, they have to say that here's the order, and here's the DD-214, and we tried to mail it, right? The date that it was mailed. It has to be in your file. So again, where's the discharge order? Right here it's called the annotated discharge certificate, and now it's the annotated discharge order. Yeah, they like to play with the words. Okay, so kind of what happened was, I got on this idea that this whole thing is about a contract. Right? Because here's the enlistment contract for your 19-year-old recruit going into the military saying, here, sign a few pieces of paper. Right? And they just start throwing this paper out. It's much like going to a closing at a house, right? Just paper, sign. Right? And without ever really being told what they are, just told what to do. So like here, right? Enlistee's name, they want your name, and then they have in parentheses, last, first, middle. So what are you going to find that line for most people is Rytlewski, Robert Allen. What probably should be there is Robert Allen Rytlewski, and then in parentheses, Rytlewski, Robert Allen to satisfy the way it shows, right? And so, but this is the thing. From the very beginning, they're changing your name around, and by the time you're done, they'll say you have a middle initial and not a name with a middle name. But in this agreement, my enlistment agreement is more than an employment agreement. It affects change in status from civilian to military member of the armed forces. As a member of the armed forces of the United States, I will be, gives you all these things, but entitled to receive pay and allowances and other benefits as provided by law and regulation. Okay, well, I say that the United States is in default because I don't have my ID card. And I'd never been kicked out of the military. And it's the ID card that is the gateway to getting all the rest of your benefits. You got to have the damn card first. And I'll show where that came from, right? But that's all the background. Let's get to the forms. So I found these forms. Most of this stuff, right, comes from the Executive Service Directorate. And like these are all the DOD-M, which are manuals, right? And these first two are very important because they have to do with the ID card. And, the first one is different styles of ID cards. And the second one is the benefits that go to whatever style of ID card you have. But the gateway to the benefits is the ID card. And that's in DOD Manual 1000.13, Volume 1. And then Volume 2 is the benefits that go with it. And I just saw this one myself, the passport agent services. I have to read that one to see how I get the proper passport in my full legal name instead of the shit they're giving you when you apply for one. Okay, give me just 1 second here. There we go. Testing, yes, it looks like it's working. Okay, so because I thought it was a contract, I said, okay, who arbitrates contracts for the military? Because my last two videos have been on this idea of arbitration, right? That we shouldn't be going to the judicial side first. We got to go to arbitration, and the government has this whole system set up for arbitration, and sure enough, they got this appeals board for contracts. All right, for the Department of Defense. I said, excellent, I got a freaking contract with the Department of Defense. I'm a government contractor. Right, I'm in the all-volunteer Army. I'm a bonus Army veteran. Right, I wasn't drafted in. So, even if you're drafted in, you still get the bonuses. This is the point. We get these bonuses, and somebody else is taking the benefit because we're not claiming our pay. Because it's coming from the DOD. It's not coming from the Veterans Administration. It's from the DOD. So, okay, I said, I want to contact these people. And they said, well, you may want to contact these people, which is the Defense Office of Hearings and Appeals, which says right in here, it settles claims for uniform service pay and allowances and claims of transportation, so forth and so on. But it goes on to say, what you need to do is file your claim first with these people, the Defense Finance and Accounting Service. So this is the place where I found the form, right? And while I was on this site, I had found where it says qualifying for disability retirement, which is what I think they're doing to everybody who gets out with less than 20 years, right? Because that retirement money is going to go into this fund. It isn't going to them personally. It's going into a fund, and then somebody, the fund manager, gets to, play with it. And I'll show you that they're spending like $90 billion a year managing the fund to pay out $50 billion a year, so almost twice as much to manage it, to give, the amount out they give. Yet there's $1 trillion almost, that's one with a T, in the fund. Well, whose is the rest of the money in the fund? Right, that's the retirement fund. It's not like it was given money that wasn't for retirement. No, that's somebody's retirement that's in that fund that didn't go to them. Anyways, and that could be by getting on one of these temporary disability retired lists or permanent disability retired lists. And the fact that you don't know it doesn't matter. Do it anyways. But if you were put on there, you're also eligible for disability compensation for the Department of Veterans Affairs. So when you go to Veterans Affairs, you can get disability stuff, right? So if you can do that, and if my premise is right that we're still in the military, well, then you should be able to go to the military and say, look, I've been rated this disability rating by the VA, and according to, I think it's 30% or higher by the VA scale, you can get disability retirement. You could be retired from the military. Crazy stuff, but that's what's on this page, right? So if you go to this site, you're going to want to read about qualifying for disability retirement. And then I really wanted to go to the main page. What is main page here? Where's claims at? Debt and claims. So if you go to the main page, go to debt and claims, and you go down here, you will see, where did it go? Military debts, service, Submit a claim. Okay, submit a claim. Right, so if you've been out for less than a year, well, you're supposed to just contact the last place you were at. But if you've been out more than a year, right, if you've been out of the military more than a year, now I'm saying I haven't been out of the military, this is the thing, but they have this form to fill out. DD Form 827. And it's a one-page form, right? Fill in the blank. Application for arrears and pay. Submit in triplicate type of print for use the service members, former service members, or legal representatives of incompetent members if claiming arrears of pay, etc. Well, what else would there be besides pay? There would be the benefits and the ID card and anything else that you believed is due to you because of your status in the military. Claimant fills out items 1 through 7, and disbursing finance officer fills out 8. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Right? So you only got to do 2/3 of the page. That'd be the name, social security number, pay grade, rank, signature, date, mailing address, periods which arrears is believed to be due, last date enlisted, last date discharge, release from active duty, place of discharge, facts and circumstances to substantiate the claim. Right? You do all that and you mail it to whichever one of these applies to you, and then whoever gets it's going to do Part 8. That's what it said to do. Right? So again, that's right. It's just so you know, you don't even need to go to the website. If you just look up DD Form 827, you can download this form. DD Form 827, March 85. But I got it the first time by going to this Defense Finance and Accounting Services saying that I wanted to file a claim. Okay? And this is the way I did mine. Because it's going to be maybe a little bit different than you might think you would do. But, well, before we get there, though, here's the beautiful thing, right? Warning. Whoever makes or presents to any person or officer in the civil, military, or naval service of the United States or any department or agency thereof any claim upon or against the United States or any department or agency thereof, knowing such claim to be false, fictitious, or fraudulent, will be fined not more than $10,000 or in prison not more than 5 years or both. Well, I guess we're going to get this thing decided because I'm putting in a claim. And so they either have to call me a liar and arrest me and put me in prison, right? Give me a trial and so forth and so on. I mean, this is, Title 18 stuff. Or they have to pay. Right? Because I can arbitrate it. This is the point. This is the first thing. You got to put the claim in first, right? And then if they won't pay it, well, then you can arbitrate it at the agency that I was showing you, this one here, Defense Office of Hearing and Appeals, which does settlement of uniform service pay claims. It's a little, 3-ring circus. Okay, so filling it out. I put in my name, right? So I said, okay, I've done enough of these things now. And looked at it and said, why are they doing it this way? What do they mean? I just do what it says. So name. Well, my name's Robert Allen Bertluski. Okay, and then after the name, they want me to put in parentheses my last name, my first name, my middle initial. Well, I don't have a middle initial because I have a given name. So I put Bertluski, Robert Allen, which is the way it shows on my DD-214, right? So basically, this is the DD-214 name. Or this is my name, right? They're in union with each other. Sharing the same social security number, pay grade, my rank, signature, date signed, right? Mailing address. Now, pay attention. See, they got P.O. Box in there. Which is the same as saying if you were in an apartment and you had a post office box. Right? So the problem with a street address is there could be many, what do they call them? Delivery points. Right? There's so your delivery point, if you live in a single family house, is the last 2 digits on your house number. So mine's 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast. And because it's a house, it's not an apartment, it's not a suite. No, they call them units. So Unit 55, Rockford, Michigan 493418664. And if you can look up delivery point addresses on Wikipedia and read it, it'll say that what that does there is that makes that a unique mailbox. There's only one of those in the world. Where if you just use the street address, well, we don't know, because any street address could have a whole bunch of other apartments and so forth attached to it using the same street address. So that's the proper way to do an address, right? 10955 14 Mile Northeast, Unit 55, because I live in a house that has its own address. So you take the last 2 digits of the house number. If your house number's 3, then you put 03. That's your unit number, right? So, okay, with your 4-digit or your 9-digit zip code. Now, from and to. So this is from. That's when I got out. So this is when I got out of the military. You need to look at DD-214. Where are you at? All right, separation date this period, 88-03-16. That's what I'm putting in here. Okay, 2, right, because this is asking periods for which arrears are believed to be due from the United States. Well, they paid me up until 83 March 16th, but I ain't got paid since. So since then till today. Last date enlisted entered. Well, that's that comes off of here. The last day that I enlisted or entered. Date enlisted, this period, 830202. Okay. Check, right? Just do what it says. Put them in. Now, what did I do there? Hang on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Where were we then? Okay, so last date discharge. Well, I don't know. I say I'm still in, so I put unknown, not NA. I mean, these are the things we'll hash out once I get my claim to them. Army, that's easy enough. Place of discharge. Well, if I was going to be discharged, it would have been Bay City, Bay County, Michigan. All right, so whatever city you came from, or well, let me see. Well, I don't know if I should have put that or Detroit now that I'm looking at it, because place of entry, that's where I entered, was Detroit, Michigan. Maybe that should have been the place of discharge also. But they have in Michigan where your discharge papers are supposed to go to the county clerk and be put into the record. Right? So what discharge papers are they talking about? The DD-214, the discharge certificate, or the discharge order? So I contacted mine, and they didn't have anything in there. I never gave them a DD-214, but they didn't have the order either, so there's nothing in the record. But I'm going to say place of discharge. That's where it would have been, Bay City, Bay County, Michigan. And if they don't like it, well, then we'll get it figured out. I must have made a mistake. But my facts are this, right? Block 9 of my DD-214 indicates that I was placed on disability retirement. But I am not receiving my disability retirement pay. I believe my disability retirement pay has been and is being diverted to the military retirement fund instead of paid to me, and I demand this injustice be corrected and my pay be sent to me. I was never administratively separated from the custody and control of the Army, and I am, to this day, a member of the Armed Forces of the United States. Unfortunately, I'm being denied my pay and the other entitled benefits, allowances, and Geneva Convention Identification Card due me for my honest and faithful service. Please correct this injustice. Because it said up here they could do more than just pay. It said pay or and etc. Okay, well, I want my card, I want my other benefits, I want everything that comes to me, right? What is mine is mine, what is yours is yours. So on my block 9, right, why do I say that? Well, mine has an NA, and if I do enough in this video, because I plan on showing where all this came from, it could end up being quite a long video. I'll show you where, if you have NA in block 9, where it says, well, that either means you were kicked out of the military, and therefore I'll have to have a discharge order, or I was put on retirement. which is the military's option to do. And if they did it, well, then I get the retirement. It's, they can't take it from you. It says in the law, once they put you on retirement, they can't take it away. Title 10, 12, 1,000, 12,000 something. It's a higher number. I have to go find that. So, and like mine has all sorts of errors. I didn't even sign the damn thing. Right? Unavailable for signature. So I could have made it up about all those things, but what I'm going to say is that mine shows that I was put into, because of the NA, that I was disability retired. Now my dad's, it says he was transferred to ERC, right? Some reserve unit. And that's what most people says. It says you've been transferred to a reserve unit of some kind. And so it didn't discharge you from the military. It just put you in the reserves. Well, if you're in the reserves, you have benefits and entitlements and so forth. And, you can have a retirement at the age of 60. You can't have it. You may qualify after 20 years, but you can't get it until the age of 60. I mean, that's one of the conditions of it. But you still have it. It's just we're not getting these things. So I put I sent this in. I mailed it yesterday to the Commander, U.S. Army Finance Accounting Center, Department 70, just the way it said, right? Just write it on the envelope, just like that. Put my address the way I'd put it up here, right? Put that at the top and with the Unit 55. Sent it in with a copy of my DD-214. And, I said what I said, but I think anybody else, you can just say, especially if it says that you were released to the reserves, that you never received a discharge order. So this is where it's going to be good to go find this manual here. Where in the heck is that thing? Right here. So this is AR, what page am I on here? 26. This is AR 635-200, active duty enlisted administrative separations. Every service is going to have something like this, right? And you can't look at it all, just take too long. But on this particular one, it says here that this is, that the annotated discharge certificate, discharge order, copy DD-214 or discharge, reflecting active duty discharge, blah, 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 blah. Now, the reason I'm using this one is on my DD-214, it has, this is what's listed on down here at the bottom, right? 635-200, Chapter 4. So whichever in that manual would be the reason that they're saying I was discharged. But I'm saying I never got an order, so I was never actually even discharged from active duty. Because that's what the certificate is doing. Certificate of release or discharge from active duty. Well, it's got too many errors to be proper. So I was never discharged from active duty. I never went to the dentist, right? So the medical side can say, well, we're going to hold you over because you still have to have this treatment. It's crazy how they do it. But I'm glad that they did. Just put it in now and see what they say. And so that's what I did. And the idea will be if they don't agree, right, then you go to these people here, and this is where you would take it to have it arbitrated. Got the claims program, alternative dispute resolution program. And if they won't do it, well, then I'll go to this one because this one does contracts with the DOD. So I don't care what anybody else says. I have a contract with the DOD. Both parties signed this thing. All right, you're going to get your signature is going on there, and so is the military's. Enlisted officer certification, good enough for me. I have a contract with the DOD, right? And they can't default on it. That isn't going to happen. They just, they can say they don't know what's going on and not take care of it. But okay, hang on. I got to go find this other one now. Just a second. Okay, so that would be for the member himself. Now, what about if you're a survivor? right? Spouse, child, whatever. If, like my dad was in the military. My mom is still alive, so, I looked at his. It says he was released the reserves. So there is some kind of survivor annuity wrapped up in this retirement system because my dad never took it as, as never put in for payment in arrears. So all of his retirement pay just, rolled over into this annuity. That's how I think it works. Okay, so there's a couple forms. If you're a survivor, you're going to want to write this down, right? Form DD Form 2656-7. 2656-7. Okay, that's one form, and then there's two forms. You might have to have this other form, which is DD Form 2656-10. I haven't had a chance to really study the survivor side too much yet, but I'm going to be doing it for, my mom, so I'll do another video once I get all done and have a better idea exactly what I'm going to do. But you don't need to wait on me. Just put it in and see what they say. Right, but this, right, verification for survivor. So who's the deceased member? Put their information in. Who's the claimant? Put in your information. Type of benefit claim. Check all the boxes. What's your relationship? Fill it out. Put in your address. Now here they ask apartment number. Well, that's the same as the unit number, right? Last two digits of your house number. 55 in my case. Whatever, more than the street. You got to be specific down to the mailbox or down to the delivery point. And the delivery point is the last two digits of your house number or your apartment number. Could be your suite number, whatever it is, right? But it's a physical location. It's the only one of its kind in the United States. Okay, the following applies to a spouse, applicant only, right? Just do what it says. Were you legally married at time of death? Yes or no? If no, when were you divorced? Are there any dependent children, under the age of 23? Yes or no? Receiving from anybody else for any reason, right? Are you already getting an annuity? If not, well, then no. Go on. Now, this is the deceased member again, right? So the same in here, which would be first name, middle name, last name, and then in parentheses, last name, comma, given name. Robert Allen Rutluski, parenthesis, Rutluski, comma, Robert Allen, right? That's how you put the deceased member. Right? Don't use a middle initial. Don't use a middle initial. Robert Allen Rutluski, parentheses, Rutluski, comma, Robert Allen. That's the style of the names. Okay, well, that's what you're going to do again down here. Whatever you put there, you're going to put here. Robert Allen Rutluski, parentheses, Rutluski, comma, Robert Allen. With the Social Security number, it's the identifier. Right? So this isn't like another one of these. You need to fill this out. Don't miss this box is what I'm saying. Because it's like the second page, and they always identify the record that it goes to on the top of the following pages. Okay, are you a child? Well, then you'd fill out these boxes. Former spouse, fill out these boxes. Right? I understand. Have you applied or do you intend to apply for Veterans Administration benefits? You don't need to tell them. But yeah, you can say yeah, yes, and then put NA if you haven't done it yet. Okay, to be completed by all applicants. The claimant, authorized representative must sign. Okay, and then this thing said what to do with it. Oh, you fax it. All right, fax it to this phone number, or to this phone number. Well, that's simple enough. Now, but it looks like you have to have a second one. This form here that has to do with what do they call this? Survivor benefit reserve component request for deemed election. So in case the member died and didn't ever deem that the surviving benefit was supposed to go to the whoever, you have to fill this form out and ask them to deem that they meant it to go to you because they didn't give it to anybody else, so it must be yours. Right, again, member's name, Robert Allen Rutluski, parentheses, Rutluski, comma, Robert Allen, Social Security number, da-da-da, da-da-da. Right, if you can't type it in there, then I would handwrite it. I wouldn't quite do it the way they're going to. And if I had to do just anything, and I had to do it what they wanted, I'd put Ritluski, Robert Allen, because there is no middle initial. See, on DD-214, it has last, comma, first, comma, middle. But when they do it, they put last, comma, and then no more commas, which means it's your first name. Well, that's what you would do here. Former spouse, well, that would be you, and you don't have a middle initial either. Right? Answer some questions, check, 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 do whatever you need to do, fill out the paperwork, and send it in. And then if they don't pay, well, then this is when you take it to the, we would be trying to take it to arbitration, is the idea. So, in case somebody had asked you, well, how come you think that, this money exists, or whatever the reason would be to say something to you about your beliefs. Where did I put that thing? Oh, I always got too many things open. Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, so if you were to Google military retirement system, you would be able to find this audit report I'm looking at right now. I'll show you the cover in a minute, but I wanted to start here because this is the projected flow of plan assets. 2019, right? The payroll to run the damn thing is $70 billion. And the cost is $30 billion. So they got $100 billion just to run this thing before they've even given you a dollar. And all they're giving out is $60 billion. So it costs, 1.4 times more to give you money than it does for you to have the money. So somebody's really making some money on this thing. And the balance is $942 billion. Right? Well, that's almost $1 trillion. This year, it will be $1 trillion. In 10 years, it'll be, doubled. So whose is this money in this account? Why would there be all this money in a retirement system if it wasn't meant for a retiree? Because that's what's supposed to be in there, the money for the retirees. I'm saying that in our case, if you're not getting it now, it's just been deferred and it's going into this account here. And they have a way that they can do that. And I should show that because that's pretty good too. So I can find it. Hang on. Okay, there's so many of these DoD manuals, and it's almost like information overload. They got so much. But in this particular one, and we'll get to the title in a second, right? It talks about natural person who has an insurable interest in a member. Any person who has a reasonable and lawful expectation of financial benefit from the continued life of a participating member or any individual having reasonable lawful basis found, right? You can put in and ask for it. Okay, so if the election is for a person who is more nearly related than a cousin, no proof of financial expectation is required. You just need to put it in. You have to prove it. If the election is for a beneficiary as a cousin or less closely related, proof of financial benefit from continued life of the retiree is required. Right? And this is in the glossary of DODI, which this makes an instruction, right? DOD instruction 1332.42. Right? You might want to write that down if you're following along. All right? Because they look like this. Department of Defense instruction number 1332.42. And, there's just so much information in these, and then they lead you to other things, because there's more information to be found there, and pretty soon you forgot all the places you had been looking. All right, members to consider to have maximum coverage. A member who dies in the line of duty while serving on active duty. Well, if they never released you, then you could be qualified for that. Because I don't even believe I was released from active duty, right? This is the thing. The DD-214 is messed up. You've not even ever been released from active duty. You were put on some kind of freaking disability retirement, and that pay's been going into that account, and there's billions of dollars in there. And here it is. A member described in this enclosure is required by court or executes a written agreement approved by the court, filed in the court, to elect former spouse or former spouse child coverage, and does not make the and who does not make such an election shall be deemed to have made required election if the secretary concerned received from the former spouse or former spouse's attorney DD Form 2656-10. Right? So the fact that it wasn't done doesn't matter. You can put in the form, and then the secretary will just deem that it has been done. Right? Former spouse's attorney, DD Form 2656-10. And then let the military figure out whose it is. I'm just saying, you need to fill these forms out. And so I'm talking about this form here. This is the one they're talking about, 2656-10. And every time you're going to put the name, how are you going to do it? Put the name the way it's supposed to be, and then put it with the last name, comma, first and, given name. Branches of service, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. You don't need to ask me. Go ask an attorney. Right? And we're only filling out so many boxes. The point is, put it in, and if they disagree with you, well, then we can arbitrate it. This is the great thing. You got to have the claim first, though. So to me, it's more about getting the claim in than being perfect. Right? We can negotiate whatever's wrong afterwards. So I don't know when the last time I was discharged. No idea. Well, you didn't fill the form out right. Well, that's... I argue with them about that. Now we have to have it arbitrated. I don't agree with their determination. What else did I want to show? I know there was something else, so hang on here. Okay, so back to the report, right? This is an audit from 2018 that shows, there's plenty of money in there, so there's something going on that we should know about. Actually, this is the money that Trump wants to get into to build his wall. He wants to take it out of the military retirement system. Go figure. So fiscal year 2018, Military Retirement Fund audited financial report. So this is all DOD. It got nothing to do with VA, right? This is all through the Department of Defense. Right? Non-disability retirement for active service. Not active duty, active service. Means you showed up, signed the paper, raised your hand, saluted the flag, met all the requirements, got a, faithful and honest service. Right? So military retirement system, MRS, disability retirement benefits, survivor benefits, active duty and reserves, pay, right? Got all sorts of things. The MRF accumulates funds to finance on an accrual basis the liabilities of DOD under military retirement and survivor benefit programs. Well, whatever that means. What it really means is they get paid all their money up front, and all this is extra, and we're not claiming our retirement, so somebody else is. Right? And who it's run through and so forth, that's not so much important to me, but what did we have here? Okay, so in 2018, they paid out $54 billion to military retirees and survivors. But they brought in, well, let's call that 20 and 90, that's 110, and another 30, $140 billion. So they brought in 140, and they only paid out 54. Well, where did the rest of it go? Now, some of it's going into the kitty to make it bigger, right? I understand that, but there's somebody making a lot of money on this deal, and this is why all these congressmen and so forth love veterans, right? Because they're the ones that are making the money on living off of our interest. That's what I believe, right? It's why they want you to go to the VA hospital, because you're an entitlement, man. They can bill hours against you. They're going to give you all sorts of shit you didn't really want, and so you got all sorts of problems that they have their way they want to fix it, and going to make you a guinea pig. Give you all sorts of psychotic drugs. Well, it's because they can charge you for it, right? The bill will get paid. So generally, this retirement system is funded, non-contributory defined benefit plan, which means you didn't have to put in, it was put in for you. Has non-disability, disability, survivor annuity, combat-ready special compensation, combat-related. Service secretaries may approve. Reserve retirees generally must be at least 60 years old. 20 qualified years of service, although they never really define what qualified means. In fact, they make it a point to show in one of these things that it means different things in different places. How it's going to be determined. Retiree and annuity pay are automatically adjusted annually, right? So, survivors, you have an annuity waiting. The current retirement system allows for voluntary retirement at any age upon completion of 20 years of service, subject to service secretary's approval. Base pay equal terminal basic pay. Okay, yep. How they're going to determine it? Well, this is where it said it. Due to breaks in service and technical differences in the definition of qualifying years of service under different benefit systems, in some cases above, it is not possible to precisely define which benefit system covered the appropriate members based closely or solely on the dates of entry. Even they don't know. All right, so, say it's yours. Disability retirement. A military member in active component on active duty with more than 30 days who is found unfit for duty. All right, so if they find you unfit for duty and you've been in more than 30 days, you are entitled to disability retirement pay if the disability is based upon accepted medical principles, is incurred while entitled to basic pay, is neither the result of the member's intentional misconduct or willful neglect, or was not incurred during a period of unauthorized absence. And either you have 20 years or it's at least 30% by the VA's schedule. So that's what I'm saying. If you have a 30% Department of Defense disability, well, they're saying it happened in your military service, then you can go to the military service and say, hey, I want my disability retirement. We're not getting it. Okay. And then when it goes on, or you got to have 20 years of service, or this thing here, and one of the following conditions is met, right? The disability was not noted at the time of member's entrance. The disability is an approximate result of performance of active duty. Well, it will be, because that's why you have it. They gave you 30% disability. If the VA does, it's because of what happened to you in the military. Incurred in time of war, national emergency. Well, we're always under a national emergency, so it's always line of duty. Right? They didn't let you out of the military. Everything that happens to you is line of duty, if they want it to be. Or if you want it to be, right? You need to claim it. Under certain conditions, members in active duty for 30 days or less, or in active training, are also entitled to disability retirement pay. Well, go figure. Okay, and how they're going to do it and figure it out, and where the dollars are coming from, and we got 20 qualifying years of credible service, right? So now it means something different. Now, what's credible service? Not payable until age 60 unless the member certain types of active duty service. Okay? So, even if they didn't give me disability pay, but they kept me in the reserves, when I turned 60, I was due a retirement pay, right, for age of 60. Because they can't put you in and not give you a benefit, right? That's the thing. And I believe that they've never even taken us off of active duty, and so we probably been being paid the whole time. Well, we were being paid retirement pay. That's, until proved different, until they give me a discharge order. My paperwork shows that I was retired. I put on the retirement list. Disability retired. Here's all these other things. Survivor benefits. Okay. Later referred to retired service family protection plan. I think that was one of the things it was asking for. On that other, on the form, it was asking for, are you asking for this, that, or the other? That's why I'm just going to check all the boxes if I was you, and then figure it out later. Because it says on there that you can make corrections afterwards. I mean, you read the form, and it's giving you all sorts of leeway to send the damn thing in. Right? And the annuity will be 55% of members' base amount. They already have figured out how much they're going to give you. What did that say? Reserve retirees survive recoveries after reservists turn 60. Yeah. Temporary Early Retirement Authority. Department of Veterans Affairs Benefits. The VA provides compensation for service-connected and certain non-service-connected disabilities. These VA benefits can be in place of or in combination with DoD retirement pay. Well, don't take it in place of, take it in combination with. But through December 31st, 2013, we're not fully additive. Well, we're not. We're 2003. We're not in 2003, so now they are additive, and so you can have both. Both of those are yours, right? Here's the law that says so. DDAA 2004, NDAA. Must be the National Defense Authorization Act. Members with a combined VA disability rating of 50% or greater who have at least 20 years of service have their offset eliminated under the concurrent disability retirement program. Whatever, it's all found money because you're not getting it. So, let Caesar have his and you take yours. And here's the other one. See, Social Security benefits, because they gave us like an enhanced Social Security as a military member. And you can only get this stuff if you have the damn ID card. That's why it's so important to have the ID card. These gratuitous benefits were reimbursed, right? They're gratuitous benefits. Were reimbursed out of general fund of the U.S. Treasury for old age survivors' disability insurance. So one feature of the unique military personal grants, a non-contributory wage credit. So they're putting money into an account for you. $300 each quarter. That'd be $100 a month. Right? So that's basically on all these different things, they ended up $100 a month. Putting it into some kind of account for you. So now, did that continue on because you never got out? They keep putting it in? Right? Whether you were getting paid or not, or even though you're getting wages, I don't know. But they put some in and we ain't got it paid. And the only way to claim this is to have the ID card. So I just want to talk about that for a little bit and then I'll be done. So hang on a second. Okay, I think I'll have to do this one step at a time. So here is the Department of Defense instruction, number 1000.01, right? 1000.01. It has to do with identification cards required by the Geneva Conventions, because we want to use their law as our shield. Because I'm telling you, if you have the book behind you, then have no fear. You shall, as long as you stand tall, you will prevail. Because they're going to have to go by the book. All right, the DoD ID card shall serve as Geneva Convention card for eligible person and shall be issued in accordance with Volume 1 DoD Manual 1000.13, Reference G. Now, this is the one that has the Volume 1, Volume 2. Volume 1 is the card. Volume 2 is, well, now that you have that card, here's the benefits that go with the card. The DoD card shall be issued for purposes associated with instructions referenced and not issued solely to facilitate travel overseas, base or installation access, or other business processes. No, they have something for that, for others. But it isn't for you because you're a member of the military. You need a Geneva Convention ID card. And then we need to make sure it's, issued the proper way with your name proper and so forth. But here, okay, so certain categories of persons protected by Geneva Convention. Prisoners of war, including members of the uniformed services and civilian personnel authorized to accompany armed forces who have fallen into the power of the enemy, are protected under the Geneva Convention. This is why you have to have a Geneva Convention ID card, because they're talking about you. In order, that personnel referred to in Section 1 of this enclosure may benefit from the status accorded them pursuant to the Geneva Convention. It's all about your status. You're no longer a civilian, including but not limited to being eligible for reparation. Each party to the conflict must furnish certain persons under its jurisdiction with an ID card. That would be us. The ID card shall show the owner's surname, first names, no initials, rank, armed forces, residential, or regimental, personnel, or serial number, or equivalent information, and date of birth. Right? It tells where it comes from out of the Article 40 of the Geneva Convention. Shall bear. Oh, that's for the Red Cross. Okay. So you get the idea. This is a good one to download, to go through and highlight yourself, find the parts you like, give you something to read this weekend. Identification card required by Geneva Convention. Now, how does that apply to us? Now that we have that, what do we do with that? Let's go find the card we need. Oh, I need to throw this in before I forget. So if you have your DD-214, you have a long form, right? This separation authority here, right? Mine's 635-200. That's the manual I went to find out all the reasons that I could be, as it turned out. It's, for administrative separations. But it could be different, right? So whatever is here is the thing you need to go find for you to find out all the bits and pieces about it. But that's if you have the long form. But what I'm saying is, well, forget all that for now. Just put in the damn claim and just say that you've never been released from the military. You never received the separation order, separating you from the custody and control of the military. And let's file some next week, and in a week or so, we'll see what they think of that. But it's better if more people put this in than just me. It's like, come on, go file a paper and claim your damn property. Okay, so now I can close that one. That's what I want to show. That comes down here at the bottom, though, right? Separation authority. Now, like on mine, this JBK, this comes from a different code book, and that code book has a particular narrative, and this narrative here doesn't match the code for that, which makes it incorrect. And the one they pick says, that I can't be reenlisted, but I have a reenlistment code that says that I can, and so, it's just error after error after error. Well, I don't want to argue about the errors, right? I want to argue about the pay. You say, look, what I don't have is I don't have a discharge order, so pay me. And give me my ID card, right? With the ID card, you can go get the pay, but the ID card is the thing that proves that you are eligible for the pay. What a system. So one of the things I should have had in that AR-200 manual, actually this is the orders manual I went to, is they're supposed to give you, in your official record someplace, that you're being separated under AR-635-200. Okay, well, this is like a notice. Okay, well, where's my notice? I've never been noticed. Right? This is you. This is I. Right? So the I they're talking about is you. Have been advised of my consulting counsel on the basis that contemplated action to separate me for the reasons under AR-635. I don't remember having any counsel tell me that. So they have some explaining to do. Okay, let's back to the cards now. So in this manual we were looking at, which is the identification card required for the Geneva Convention, it said that you're going to find it in this DOD Manual 13. I'm just going to make sure you get the right. Okay, this is Volume 2. Now we got Volume 1 first. On page 17 for now. Okay, DOD identification cards, number 1000-13. You can Google all these, right? Just put DODM 1000.13 and you'll find it. Just know there's a Volume 1, Volume 2, and you're going to want them both. And just quickly go back through these pages. You should read all this, but I just don't have time to right now. So this talks about all the different kinds of cards. ID card description, population, eligibility cards, right? Armed Forces United States Geneva Convention ID card. Well, that's the one we want. Right? The primary ID card for uniformed service members and shall be used to identify the member's eligibility for benefits and privileges administered by the uniformed services as described in Volume 2. That's why you got to have the card. Used to identify the member's eligibility for benefits and privileges administered by the uniformed services as described in Volume 2. Then it goes on to tell you what it is, U.S. DOD or Uniformed Service ID card, right, which is a different kind of card. This is a Geneva Convention ID card. Now, it's going to say it on there that it's a Geneva Convention ID card, or you don't have the right one. But they have these other ones that you got a privilege card, and they could all look the same, but, you know, only one's the ID. If it's a Geneva Convention card, it's going to say so. Civilians can have them, right? So you got the DD2 form, DD Form 2 Armed Forces United States Identification Card. Right? This is the primary ID card for RC, Reserve Component members not eligible for a CAC, which is the other kind of card they have now. Benefits and privileges shall be administered by the Uniformed Services as described in Volume 2 of this manual. That's why you got to have the card. But it's called a DD Form 2S. Reserve shall serve as ID purposes for Geneva Convention requirements in accordance with reference R. Not a DD Form 2, a DD Form 2S, parentheses, RES, shall serve as ID card. That's one form. Now, who's eligible for it? Well, the people in the ready reserves who are not entitled to a DD Form 2S RET, right, which is retired. Armed Forces United States Geneva Convention Identification Card. So if you've been retired, you should have a card that says Armed Forces United States Geneva Convention Identification Card around the outside edge. And any retiree I talk to does not have that style of card. That's what we want. I want a DD Form 2S RET, or an RES, Reserve, whatever you're going to call me, right? Those are the two styles of DD Form 2s other than the one for the active duty that are Geneva Convention ID cards. A DD Form 2S RET. Right, now we got DD Form 2, which is another style of card, because here's DD Form 2S RET. Now we're going to DD Form 2, which most reservists have. Reserve retired. United States Uniformed Service Identification Card. This is the primary ID card for National Guard reservists who have completed 20 years service and have elected to be transferred to the retired reserves. They will qualify for pay at age 60 or earlier if they have qualified contingent service. So you're going to get this card, get out and be retired, but you're electing to have your retirement pay. They will qualify for pay at age 60, right? Because you've chose to have this card. Instead of getting it now, you're going to get it at age 60. That's just something that's happening. I don't know what to tell you. Somebody with a retirement card is going to have to look at this and say, okay, which one do I have? What does it say? Is it a DD Form 2, United States Uniformed Services Identification Card, Reserve Retired, or is it a 2S? Right, the DD Form 2S, it will say on a Geneva Convention Identification Card. You have to have one that says Geneva Convention Identification Card. And then here's all these other kinds of cards, right? They got United States DOD Uniformed Service Geneva Convention Identification Card. So this is the one the DOD or Uniformed Services can give out as they would, to civilians as they believe necessary. So there's no reason they can't give one to you. Civilian non-combatant personnel who have been authorized to accompany U.S. forces in regions of conflict. Well, every place you go, there's a gold fringe flag, which is an Army flag of the military, right? It's only supposed to be in places like military installations, Army installations, Army offices, military courtrooms, chapels, and someplace else. That's why when you go into a church, you see a gold fringe flag. That's because that's a chapel. According to the Army, you just entered a chapel. right? Well, when you see a gold fringe flag in a courtroom, you should know, well, I just entered a military courtroom. And as a member of the military, you have privilege of court martial. So say, excuse me, I have privilege of court martial. I demand a court martial. Better yet, show them your proper ID and say, well, you need to take me to the post. Right? Because unless they're going to say that they're a military tribunal, they can't try you. You're in the military. With an ID, you got to be tried by the military. Okay, and so this is the other manual now. Now that you have the proper card, there's all sorts of different styles of benefits they have. Right? Benefits for dependents on active duty. Benefits for National Guard. National Guard Reserve greater than 30 days. Dependents on National Guard Reserve members. Former members and dependents. Voluntary retired members and PDRL members. TDRL members. Benefits retired reserve members. Medal of Honor recipients, 100% disability, on and on and on. They have all these different groups that, depending on the card you have, this will show you the benefits that go with it. So, again, download it. 1013. Okay, and let's go down because I want to end this thing. Where am I? 3%, one way past it. Okay, benefit retired members of the uniformed services. There was one just before that. How about benefit of former uniformed service members? Right? If you have this enclosure describes benefits of former uniformed service members who are eligible and their eligible dependents. Former members are eligible to receive retired pay at age 60 for non-regular service in accordance with 1223, but may have been discharged from their respective service or agency and maintain no military affiliation. Okay, so even if they say they kicked you out, you still get it at 60. Former members and their dependents are eligible for benefits under this. Right? So this is really all stuff that's access to the post. This is like health care. I think, like one is using the facilities on post, the other one is having access to facilities off post. And then the commissary, and then MWRE, and then the exchange. Yes, 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 yes. Supposed to have all those. Well, where's the ID card? I don't have one. Right, I'm either a former member, and you got to prove it by showing me the order, or I'm a retired member. Right, and I was, and this is the same thing. Yes, 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 yes. Right, you get all those things. I think it even goes into if you're, where did they have disabled American veterans? No. Yes, 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 right? You don't get the ones on post, but you get the ones off post. But that would mean you had to have been released from the military. So where's the order? So you get the idea. I mean, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I just wanted to show that this, because of what I had read here in this last week, that just for a quick review, we all as enlisted signed this agreement, and this agreement doesn't have an end date. Laws and regulations that govern military personnel may change without notice to me. Such changes may affect my status, pay, and allowances, regardless of provisions of this re-enlistment agreement. That's fine, but you still have to show me what you did, and I'm entitled to receive pay and allowances as long as this stuff is going on. And right, this is where you get the claim form. Defense, Finance, and Accounting Service. Right? And if they deny it, well, then we're going to go here because it's the place that does uniform services, pay, and allowances. And if they deny it, then go here because it's the place that does Armed Service Board Contract of Appeals. And at the end of the day, it's a contract. We have a contract with the Army, and they are in default. Actually, they may not be in default. It's just our pay is going to the wrong address, right? It's going into the fund, somehow been deferred. I don't really understand it. I don't need to. All I need to know is, well, I don't have a discharge order. And unless you can produce one, then I'm still in the military. And that's how it works at the end of the day in the black and the white. And that's where I want to get it to, just the black and white answer, and stand on it. And I don't care if they agree or not. Well, I want them to agree. I don't care if they like it or not. I want them to agree. Okay. I just want to quick show those other two forms real quick. So give me just a second. And if you're a survivor, right, download this, Department of Defense Instruction 113242. And these two forms, at least, which is DD Form 2656-10. If you Google that, you'll find it. And DD Form 2656-7. Now, you see they're in the same group as 2656, and I don't know what 8, 9, and 9 are, and I don't know what 1 through 5 are, but there could be other forms that they all kind of go together. But this is the one for, verification for survivor annuity. So you want them to verify you have one. And so I'd claim all of these, right? RSFPP, I think that's what was in the manual I was looking at, right? But don't worry about it. Just claim them all. All right, it says here, please verify that the information provided below is correct. Please provide any missing information and line through and correct any errors. Well, who are they telling that to? Right? To me, it's like they're telling, the person that's going to look at this for us to correct it. Because how do I know if it's right or not and can correct it if I'm the one sending it in? Right? It's not like they're giving it to me and I'm saying, well, this is wrong and this is wrong. Unless one of these has already been filed and we don't know about it. And that could be. But, don't worry about it. Just put the deceased name, Robert Allen Rutluski, parentheses, Rutluski, comma, Robert Allen. Right? Not 2 commas, no middle initial. Social Security number, date of birth, date of death, branch of service, rank and rate. Same for you. First name, middle name, last name, parentheses, last name, comma, given name, Social Security number. Now, the name that you're going to use is the name that's on your Real ID compliant ID. Right? This is the year 2020 where if you don't have the proper identification, you can't get on an airplane. If your ID can't get you on an airplane, then you don't have the proper identification. The proper identification shall have your full legal name on it, defined in the Real ID Act as the full legal name. Just Google it. You'll see it. It's not hard to find. And that's what it says. Full legal name. First name, middle name, last name. No initials, no nicknames or surnames. All right, first name, middle name, last name, or surname, no initials, no nicknames. Right? Well, they always use initials, and they want you to use an initial. You don't have an initial in your legal name. You have a legal name, and it's supposed to be used for legal matters. If it isn't used for legal matters, then it's illegal. Right? And on the second page, again, Robert Allen, Rutluski, parentheses, Rutluski, comma, Robert Allen, Social Security number. Right, fill this form out and fill this other form out. And they gave a number on one of these to fax it to. Fax it in, see what they say. Right, say, well, whatever it is you have to say, put it in writing and send it to me, right to you, and then send it to me, and we'll figure out what to do next. But somebody do it, and let's find out what they say. I don't need to tell you how to fill this damn form out. Just fill it out, and then tell me what they say. But let's start filling them out and sending them in and saying, hey, that's ours. In the Gospel of Thomas, it says that Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto God what is God, and render unto me what is mine. Well, that's all we're doing. We're the me asking for mine. It's the Christian thing to do. Right? And then go give it away, or, give it away to the poor. because you're going to have tons of money. Well, so go spend it in the economy and help the economy out. Can you imagine what would happen if $1 trillion of real money got put into the economy? Right? It would make a big difference to every restaurant and, you name it. All the local places would be the beneficiaries of us having this fund in our pocket instead of it being in the pockets of somebody in Washington, D.C. to be, invested like we want them to invest our retirement. No, I want to spend it. I want to spend my retirement. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox on that. You get the idea. You can see where we're headed, and we'll see what happens over the next week or so. Okay, you all have a great day. Like I said, that's my email address, phone number. But I'm really not the one to talk to now. You need to talk to them and then come back and tell me what you found out, right? And remember this, that you need to have a discharge certificate, a discharge order, and a copy of a DD-214 to be discharged. Else, you're still in, right? The effective date of the discharge didn't happen. Okay, see ya.